Okay, hi everyone, and my name is Monica Ramirez, and today we're in the day 2. And in the day 2, what we're gonna be talking today, we're gonna be talking about the ego games, and why it is so important to forgive yourself and others, and the conscience of envy, compassion, and pride, and also the judgments to others and self, how it affects us. So let's start with meditation to center ourselves, and like that we live the day outside. And so let's close our eyes. This is just a centering meditation, this is a quick one. Let's close our eyes. Let's take a big breath and take it to your stomach. Hold it and let it out. Again, let's take another big breath. Take it to your stomach. Hold it and let it out. Again, let's take another big breath. Take it to your stomach. And let it out. Now you're going to take it to your chest. Hold it. And let it out. In the next breath, we're going to take it to the lungs and letting go anything that worries us, anything that we have to do later on, so we can be present here. And let it out. Again, let's take it to our heart. Any emotions, and we let it out. Now we're going to take it to the head. And we let it out. One more time, we're going to take it to the head, to the pineal gland. And we let it out. One more time, we're going to take it to the head, to our brain. And we let it out. Now with your eyes closed, you send your awareness to your feet so we can anchor ourselves. We start going down, 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 down to the center of the earth. Anchor those roots of your tree. And let out anything that doesn't help you anymore. And now we are gonna breathe the energy of the center of the earth and take it all through all your body. And we're gonna let it out to our crown chakra. And we're gonna connect our crown chakra to the central sun of the universe, where source reside. And we're gonna bring back ourselves to our body. I am here, I am. I am here I am. Okay, guys. You can open your eyes whenever you're ready. And let's start with the games that the ego play. The ego was integrated in ourselves, in all our being, because it was a protector, and it have helped us. The dinosaurs are not attacking us, or the lions, and we're not jumping in front of the cars. So in a way, it is protecting us. And but the ego plays different games. A lot of people wants to become enemy of the ego because thinking that the ego is bad, but in reality, the ego is our friend if we want to be our friend of his. The ego, at the same, it is so important because it teaches to believe in ourselves. So that's why it is important not to become enemies of the ego, because as an artist, I would tell you that the first thing that when you become an artist, they tell you, "Oh, be careful with your ego." Yes, but you are so careful with your ego that you don't believe enough in yourself. This is taught in all the religions. They teach you not to to control your ego. To control is so much that we stop believing in us. And then how we're gonna become whatever we wanna become if we don't believe in ourselves. So that part is very important to remember. That the ego it can control us and manipulate us. We're gonna be talking all about that. But at the same time, it is very, very important that we don't become enemies of our ego, because our ego can be our best ally. So that's why it is very important to learn to control it, but and because the ego do not like changes. The ego gets scared with changes. So every time you're gonna try to shift something in your side, you're gonna start hearing different voices that we're gonna be talking more about that. And your ego is gonna start to try to control you, manipulate you, and instigate you fear. The ego plays a very insignificant role because they taught us that it was totally harmful, that it was like, even I have clients that they have tell me that it's like diabolic, and they're like, no, it is not, because the ego, it is part of our body, like our hands, our legs, and fingers. The ego is part of us, like our divine part also is part of us. It is us actually, the ego too. So we can cut our hand just because we don't like it, or our arm just because we don't like it. And we just have to, if we have a short hand or short hands, or their little hands or whatever, you learn how to handle things better. Or you have big hands, you learn how to handle things in a different way than other people. You just don't cut it because you don't like it. The ego applies the same things. We learn how to handle that because it is gonna, you're gonna see how it can be our best friend. And the ego is the one that is gonna show us how to believe in ourselves. Okay, and so don't make it our, and that also the ego can create our beliefs of who we think we are. Remember, yesterday we talked about the narcissists. They have inflated ego completely. That's out of control, that ego. That's why they have the grandiosity. That's what we talked yesterday about the narcissism. But we will learn to control the ego. It can be our best friend and a best ally. I'm gonna put an example that in the scripts that I send you guys. I used to teach blind people how to paint, and people. I'm talking about adults, and also people with cerebral palsy, adults too. I worked with them for 5 years, and who would tell you that a blind person can paint and become an artist and start exhibiting their work and so forth? Well, I have several of those students because I was working for the National Federation of the Blind, and I worked with them for 5 years teaching them art and creating art exhibits for them, so like that they can get fundraisers for their association. And also, I was teaching for 5 years a beautiful, beautiful being. Her name is Amori, that she has cerebral palsy. Of course, she was born with that. and it was very hard for her to control her body and all her muscles, and that's part of the cerebral palsy. So, and they were painting and they were exhibiting their work and they were selling their art. So you see how the beliefs can be distorted depending on your beliefs, and the beliefs of each person is going to be different. If you say you're blind and you say I can't paint because I'm blind, well, that's I'm not going to deny that, because whatever we believe is what we're going to create. If you say you can do something, well, guess what? You can do it. But if you believe that you can do something, even if the rest of the people do not believe in you, but you believe you can do it, you actually can do it. Like a blind person paint, or a people with someone with cerebral palsy can paint, and not only paint, exhibit their work. The blind woman started exhibiting even in Italy. She became a very famous artist. So we are gonna become whatever we wanna believe. There is no an absolute truth. Everybody's gonna see the truth in a different way. It depends on the programs that they have, in the identity that they have created for themselves. There is not an absolute reality or truth. So we can deny someone that truth, they're wrong and I'm right, or I'm right or I'm wrong. To be one person right, someone has to be wrong. And that doesn't mean that we all the time we're gonna be right. So we have to check our filters when we're saying someone that is wrong. What filters we believe they're right. And remember, our ego is the one that tells us, "Oh, you're always right." I had clients that they're a little kid that it was a lesbian chick, and her mother used to tell her, meet her with a Bible, thinking that the Bible was gonna remove the being lesbian. And her mom wasn't completely truth, because that's what they teach her, that in the church, that gays or lesbians, they were diabolic. Remember, in the old times also, people that were left-handed, they were diabolic too. They used, my son, one of my older sons, they were going to Catholic school, and they used to tie his hand because that was wrong, having being left-handed. In reality, and I'm not gonna. If they believe a person, it is diabolic and so forth like that, you're gonna attract whatever you fear. My son, he was not gonna be diabolic, but they were gonna attract the devil. Why? Because they're conscious in whatever they were thinking. You're not gonna. Every time you're trying to change someone and telling them how to think and how to be, you are in a way you're interfering in their own progress, in their own karma, in their own ways. We can't tell them you're right and you're wrong. You can tell them your point of view, like any advice. The advices are given to people, but we can't force them to do it, or else it's an order, it's not an advice. There's a big difference between that, and people always confuse advice with orders, because for them, even they say, no, it's just an advice, but you have to do it. Really? Then it's not an advice. The same applies, because that is the ego talking. That is some of the games that the ego play. So be aware. I'm just saying this so you become aware of that. And it's up to you if you want to continue playing the same game of the ego. But it is important at the same time that you learn how to say no. That in the tomorrow we're going to be talking more about the boundaries and how to say no, and the power of the word no and the power of the word yes, because that is important. And that is going to change completely your perspective and how you relate to others. How do you know it's your ego, and how do you know it's your guidance? It is very simple, this one. You know, it's your ego when it's trying to control you, manipulate you, and tell you what to do, like any adult outside of yourself. We have those voices inside of ourselves. And when you're about to do something, your ego is like, oh no, you should not do it, because this will make you, this will harm you. Or the witch is going to appear. or the cuckoo is gonna appear, or, things like that, and that limit us. If your ego is telling you that, well, if that voice is telling you that, that is your ego. If your ego is telling you, oh, you better be a good wife, you can be, if you get, I can remember my mother's saying, if a woman gets home after 9 o'clock alone from the street at night, it has to be a woman that is, you know, prostitute or something like that. Really? And then you continue with the same program, and then you pass it to your kids, and if your kid do it, you're doing exactly as your mother as your mother were doing. Oh, my mother was doing. And that is just the ego. Why? Because the decency of a human being can be measured at what time they get home. That is only the way of the programs, like how they work, and how the ego is gonna try to control you and manipulate you. And the difference with your higher self, when it's talking to you, that's the other voice, that is the uplifting voice. They're never gonna force you or tell you what to do, ever. They're gonna advise you without forcing anything. That is the two difference between your higher self trying to communicate you and advise you, and your ego. And why I mention this, even if it's not a channeling class, because this is actually what is our brain it works. When we go in a depression, we have the two voices. They have the voice, the one is gonna push you down, and the voice that push you gonna push you up. And wherever you put your attention is what is gonna grow. Wherever you put your attention is when you're gonna grow. The Lakotas have old saying that I love this one. I used to go to many sun dances and with the Chactos, and I met many Lakotas, and they tell me this beautiful story that I bet many of you already know it, and the story of the two wolves. They have there was a grandfather with his grandson, and they had wolves as pets, but one was very, very aggressive, and the other wolf was very, very nice. And one day they did not have enough food to feed both of the wolves, and the little kid asked the grandfather, which of the wolves you are gonna feed, grandfather, because we only can feed one. And the grandfather say, which one would you feed? The one. So like that exactly works our mind. When you have the thoughts that are pushing you down, that are making you depressed, the voices that are telling you you are worthless, you don't deserve better, you are ugly, you are fat, you're old, you're whatever they tell us, that is the voice of the ego pushing you down. If you put attention to that voice, yes, you're gonna go very, very depressed. And it's gonna last you as long as you are putting attention to that voice. But if you put attention to the other voice at the same time, I'm not saying to deny your emotions when you're depressed. It is important to observe, yes, I'm sad and I want to cry, cry. You know, let it cry. You don't have to demonstrate to anyone how strong you are, because that's the ego. Demonstrating how strong you are, that's another game of the ego. But if you actually put attention to the other voice that's picking you up, it's like, hey, this is just passenger. You're gonna get out of this one. This is not gonna stay forever, and so forth. You're putting attention and sending the energy to the other voice. Then the other voice of the ego is just gonna become quieter and quieter and quieter. The voice that you're not putting attention is the one that's gonna start getting quieter, and more silence and more silence and more silence. So it's totally our choice. When we decide and what wolf the wolf is wearing, and I realize the ego is gonna always try to control you, manipulate you. I put you some exercises that I recommend you do, guys, in there, because you're gonna realize in your beliefs, that whatever belief that you have, how like I'm gonna mention one of the exercises is because This is a very, very good example. So like that, you write it down. Is ask yourself and write it down. If you want to, you can write it down, or you can just you just remember your choice. And this is just an advice, and you can take it or you can throw it in the trash. It doesn't affect me one or the other. What evidence supports your belief? Let's say if you're a woman and you get home after 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, it is because you are prostituting yourself. The same example that my mom used to tell me. And like, well, what evidence that supports that belief? There is no evidence that a decent woman is gonna be doing prostituting themselves at 1 o'clock in the morning, even if they're by themselves. There's no support in that belief. Or two, there's no truth in that. There's no evidence in that truth. And the same belief. Does this belief consider the whole perspective, the perspective and the negative of all the ramifications? It is very damaging and very limiting if you believe that a woman after 10 o'clock it is a prostitute. So if I consider all the perspectives, a prostitute can go and prostitute themselves at noon, and lunchtime. There's no, if I see the whole perspective, it is very ridiculous belief. Does this belief feel my inner peace? No, it makes me feel uncomfortable. If I get home at 1 o'clock in the morning, it will make me feel guilty for something that I don't even did nothing wrong. So think on that one. And five, did you choose this belief, or is being influenced by a family or a friend? It was influenced by my mother, and of course it was ridiculous. That's why it was needing to be removed. So this belief make me happy? No, it make me feel mad. It make me feel guilty. It make me feel dirty. It make me, and I don't did even nothing wrong. So this belief is disapproved. How do you feel about this? Well, I just mentioned. 8. In which part of your body do you feel it? I feel like in my stomach, where it make me feel angry. The majority of the things that you believe that they're truth, you're gonna feel it in your chest. The ones that are gonna make you feel more uncomfortable, you're gonna feel it in your stomach. I am true believer that all the sickness that we have in our body, we provoke it to our brain and our thoughts. That's how I heal myself. And when you have problems in your stomach, usually it's because you have fear. So check yourself if you have gastritis, or you can go to the bathroom or something like that, or hemorrhoids, or any problems that you have with your stomach. Check yourself and ask yourself why I am in fear. First, check yourself, like, where do I feel it? Oh, I feel it in my chest. Oh, okay. Then ask yourself, why is this belief, or what is the belief behind this? Ask yourself. Always question yourself and go deeper and deeper and deeper, and that's the best way you can heal yourself. So when I get hemorrhoids, that is a family defect and a heredity of my dad, I always ask myself, I know already that is fear. So I ask myself, okay, what I am fearing for? What is my fear right now? And I start working out with that fear. Okay, if this fear is helping me, no. If this fear is coming from somewhere, where? And I start digging and digging and digging. And believe me, if without even medication, in 1 day or 2 days, it just disappear. And when that fear comes back, I, again, I will have a hemorrhoids or diarrhea or gastritis or colitis, Crohn's disease, etc., etc., etc. It can even provoke you even cancer. So always checking your body. Where do you feel the belief that you're understanding? Always checking your body. Where do you feel it? In what part of your body is feeling it? Because your body is telling you What is the problem? What do you need work? Where do you have to work with yourself? So I am actually, my ego is my friend, because when something is irritating me, making me angry, making me sad, giving me any emotion, it is telling me exactly where do I have to work with myself. So I would recommend you guys to become friends with your ego. And now we're gonna go to the next one, that is the judgment. Because the judgment is part of the same ego too. And what it means, mirror and responsibility. Well, in the ancestors of the Mayas, my ancestors, the Mayas, they used to call the Tlaxlipoca, it was the god of the mirrors. But what that means in reality, it was not just a mirror. It really means that where we were living, it was living in a fantasy a world. I even put you a link in YouTube so like that you can check it out later on. It's in your notes. I send it by email about the reality, the hologram that we are actually living. So, and that is the mirror image that we have in all around us. When someone is judging you, they're judging you, they're react to something that you did. Like remember, like we were talking about the ego, that in reality it bothers them. I have heard people saying, "Oh, you have curly hair, and I hate curly hair." Whose problem it is? Is their problem? Because I love my curly hair. I don't care if they don't like it. You know, who's the problem? Maybe it reminds them someone that damaged them when they were young, and they have curly hair, and they just see it projected in themselves. So observe those things, because in reality, no one can harm you unless you give them permission. If you take that as offense, the judgments of others, they are limiting you because you give them the permission. The people are gonna judge because sometimes people, you're gonna see why we're gonna go more profound why people judge. But if you give permission to, you accept the judgments of someone else, it's gonna limit you, and it's gonna dictate you how you're gonna live your life, and that applies for husbands, for friends, for siblings, for our kids, for anyone. Whoever tells you uh, is judging you, and you accept it, you're accepting a belief of them. That doesn't have to do anything with you. So be aware of that. The judgment often comes when a fear it is coming out. Why she can be able to speak? Why she's doing something that I'm not doing? Why? Because maybe she have the guts and she doesn't. Or the husband is like, why she's doing more money than I am? That's a problem in many marriages and many relations. And what happened in there? They're judging because they're in fear, and the same applies vice versa. So be aware of those emotions, and don't accept programs of other people. Remember that everybody's gonna talk by their own experience, and no one is gonna talk about the experience of someone else. They're gonna talk about their own experience, how they have lived it, even in the same families. You're saying you have several siblings, each one of them is gonna be different. Even if they were raised in the same household, in the same country, in the same place, we are gonna be all different. And they're gonna talk each one of them by their own experience. So don't take anything personal, because that's one of the four agreements of Don Juan. Don't take anything personal, because it doesn't have to do anything with you. Okay, why people judge? Well, one, we accept the judgments of others because we do not honor ourselves. We are like, okay, I want people like me and accept me, so I'm gonna take the judgment of others, and yes, I'm gonna go and change my blouse, or yes, I'm gonna change my skirt, or yes, I'm gonna paint my hair different color, red, whatever color, because I want to be accepted by my husband, by my mother, by my friends, by a clique, by someone, because we are not accepting ourselves enough. That's one of the biggest reasons why we are accepting the judgments of others, because we are not accepting ourselves. Oh, because they tell me I'm too fat, so that's why I'm in diet. Do you really want to be in diet? Or you're doing it because the judgments of others? You want to do it because you want to do it, it is fine. But if you don't want to do it, don't follow others, what others tell you, the judgments of others, because they are controlling you. You're not controlling them. Looking for approval of others, it always gonna limit you. That's why, in a way, we find the relationships we find, because we thought that we deserved a certain mate that we have now, and we were doing, and we were the ones that we have narcissist parents or mates, is because we were always walking in eggshells, and that is the more uncomfortable situation that we can put ourselves. But if we are not honoring ourselves and we don't know what we want, we just want that they stop yelling at us and they treat us good, you're never gonna be happy with yourself. You have to first honor yourself. How you're planning to love someone, even say I love you, if you do not love yourself first? You are important. Don't forget that part. Okay, becoming witness how we treat others. We know why we did what we did, without judging, and without we feeling the compassion of ourselves if we attack ourselves. Remember, when someone is judging you, we're not having compassion, and you're accepting the judgments of others. You're not having compassion for you. We're accepting being judged. So be aware of that, and I repeat it again and again, because this is a very important step. Because in the moment you feel the freedom, you want to feel really that freedom, you're not affected by the judgments of others. We always remember that we always have that internal monologue. Listen to that internal monologue that is telling you to push you down or pushing you up. Which wolf you're gonna feed? Well, I have judged myself tremendously in my past, and I have if but if I every time I did not understood that I was letting others controlling me and telling me what to do, that example, it was going to be repeated over and over and over again until I actually learned the lesson. Planet Earth is a school, and whatever you do not learn in the first trial, and you have to repeat it the same lesson again. It's like saying that you did not learn algebra, and you are not going to get out of high school until you learn algebra. So you better learn the algebra. So like that you don't have to repeat the same class over and over again. And more, algebra is not painful. But when it is a painful emotion and you have to repeat it over and over and over again, that is where it becomes more uncomfortable. My third marriage, I was getting beaten and cheated and so forth. And imagine if I did not learn that lesson, the next marriage, that was my fourth husband, he will be beating me too. But I learned, thank God I did learn the lesson, and all the lessons. How you come out of this? You will say, the best way to come out of a lesson, it is to observe the lesson or the teacher, because let's put it like this. My third husband that used to beat me, he was my teacher. It was just that. And I signed up for that program before I came here for that class. I accept marrying him. I am responsible of that. No one pushed me to marry him. I chose to marry him. I am responsible of having that teacher. Now, to getting out of the lesson, so I don't have to repeat it, I have to observe why I chose him. Why I chose to have that teacher? Why I chose a man that he was aggressive, narcissist, and abusive? Why? Why I got myself into that? Because yes, I can be the poor me. Oh, poor me, Monica is a poor woman that he was getting beaten. Pobrecita, there's no hope for Monica, and she's gonna suffer this forever. Then I will be the victim forever. That's how I got sick of lupus, RA, and fibromyalgia. My nerve system cracked. My whole body cracked because I was being the poor me. If you want to empower yourself, you need to get out of your victimhood. There's no other way out. Because then you're not going to have any kind of power to change anything in your life. I remember when I was young, and my dad used to tell me, okay, you want this or this? And I says, oh, I want red or blue. I want red. And then later on, it's like, oh, Dad, I like more the blue. No, you chose the red. And that got stuck to me because you do that when you're little kids. You want the lollipop blue or red, and the lollipop already blue is already all you lick it up, and then no, I want the red one. Like finish the blue one first because that's when the one you choose. Yes, but that teach you too that when you're an adult that if you choose certain men, you have to stay with that man until the last days of your days. Or if you behave in a certain way, that's how you're gonna end the rest of your life. Or else everybody's looking at you and they're gonna judge you because you change your mind. We always have the right, guys, to change our opinion, to change our ways, to change for the different lollipop if we want. As an adults, we choose everything that is happening to us. And more faster we learn this lesson that we are responsible of those choices, more faster we learn, and we don't have to repeat the same story because their stories are very, very painful that we don't want to repeat ever again. When we start blaming others, for me it will be very easy to blame my ex-husbands for my sickness and so on, because of him I got sick and so forth. Poor Monica. Then guess what, guys? I will not heal myself. That's one of the things also that I heal myself. I start blaming others for my own choices, and I start empowering myself, and I start bringing that power to me, and then I start changing my reality where I was living in this moment. The poor me card is gonna take you so far, but it's not gonna make you happy ever. It's gonna always make you a victim. So it is your choice. You wanna be the victim or you wanna get empowered. You are the only one who can choose that. We have seen it we have seen it with our parents or our mothers or husbands, and our kids are learning also from us, that they're seeing that the victimhood, the one that is the manipulator, is gonna choose the card of poor me. Oh my God, I feel so sick, so sick. So you have to do this for me, or you have to do that for me, or you have to take care of me. I can't be alone. No, 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 no. We can go and on and on and on into the victimhood, and it's never gonna end. Yes, until one person gets tired of you and says, you know what? Again, you're gonna cry. Again, you're gonna say, poor me. That person is gonna leave. We can't play that card for the rest of our lives, because they are going to get bored of us, and we are going to get bored of ourselves because we are powerless. And why? Because that was our choice. What we choose. But the good thing about that is we can change it whenever we choose. It's our choice, and we can flip it in 1 second. A state of conscience is just changing in a second. So you can amplify your conscience in the moment you choose to change it. When you have an aha moment, oh, aha, finally I get it. That moment you're changing your conscience. Ascending, going to the fifth dimension, It is not a place, it is a state of conscience. So, and we can go into the fifth dimension and or ascend with all the baggage. We can go with our fears. We can go with an uncontrollable ego. We can go feeling the victim or feeling guilt or shame. We can take that baggage. So we have to let it go because it is limiting to start. It is not making us to enjoy life. So it is going to be our choice. And to what point? I always tell my clients, you know what? In the moment you get bored is the best thing that happened to you. Because they tell me, I'm so bored of my life. Thank God you're bored of your life. Because in the moment you get bored of your life, that's when you want to make the change. Because you're bored. So I always thankful for my boarding, for being bored, because like, oh, and then I need to do something different. Because this life, I'm not enjoying what I'm living. And the only way I'm going to observe it is if I get bored of repeating the same story day after day after day. And the ones that believe in the reincarnation, life after life, how many times you have repeated the same story? How many lives you've been repeating the same story? When you're going to stop is your choice. No one can force you to change except yourself. That's why we can change anyone else, because it's their choice. We always have the free will, and the free will is making choices. Why people judge? That includes ourselves. Why we judge others and why other people judge us. We judge others because we think they're separate from us, when in reality we all come from source. We all come from the same place. No one is more and no one is less. We're not superior to anyone, and anyone is superior than us. We all have the same capability to be happy. We all have the capability to have the same gifts if you want to accept them. We all are the same. So when you judge someone because you feel you're superior, think again. And when someone is judging us because they feel superior, they are the ones with the problem. It's not yours. It's their problem. We judge others when we feel of the unknown. When we feel that something we don't know how is being done, that's when we're judging that person. At the same time, I read the tarot, and many people are like, oh, it's diabolic, it is terrible, you're calling, I don't know what I've been called, because you're a witch and this and that, because you read the tarot. What they're telling me, it is they're very ignorant people, that they're judging something that do not understand, but that is not my business. That's their business, not mine. I'm going to continue reading it without no guilt, no shame, no nothing. They can blame and guilt whatever they want. Why? Because I am me and I am free. No one is going to tell me what to do or not. And I know it's not evil. So the judgments of people tell me, oh, you're a witch because you read a tarot. I don't care. I really don't. It doesn't affect me. We judge what we do not understand, like the example of the tarot. So if you really want to understand it first and then choose if you want to do it or not, instruct yourself. Study that. I have heard many things about that we should not be going to Mars and this and that. In reality, when people are judging Elon Musk because we're going to Mars and things like that, it's ignorance, because we do not understand anything about spaceships or going to Mars, or why we need to get out one day, sooner or later, the humanity for planet Earth. We're talking without any kind of knowledge. And if we want to get the knowledge and actually talk about with someone that have the knowledge, then we will have something to talk about and understand better. But if we don't have the knowledge, hey, before we used to have encyclopedias, but nowadays we have Google and it's more actualized. Google, Google it. Google everything that you need to, if you want to. Just be aware there are gonna be pros and cons in everything, in every single subject. We judge also what we can control. If you're, then this is gonna be very familiar for you guys, the ones that have husbands that are narcissists. If they can control you, they're gonna try to. They are gonna judge you because they are gonna need to control you, and that's the one way to try to control you, judging you, because judge make you feel guilty, and if you take it, if you accept it, that was your choice. Their choice is to judge, but you can put attention whatever they're saying or not. That's your choice. You're not gonna control them to judge you or gaslight you. You're not gonna control that. But you're gonna have the choice to say, you know what? I am not gonna put attention. Don't accept the judgment. Or do, as your choice. So stop judging yourself for the judgments of others. Because many times we judge ourselves because we are accepting the judgments of others. That's also another way to judge. Or because we want to belong to a clique or a group of people. Everybody's judging this person, so let's all judge that person so like that this group accept me. But in reality, you like that other person. Why you're judging that person? Because the rest of the people are judging them? Be your own head. Don't be a sheep. Be a leader of your life. I'm not talking even a leader of a group of people. I'm talking leader of yourself. People always look for allies. If I get mad at someone, I expect all my friends to hate that person. That is looking for allies. And everybody, we're going to judge them. I just heard the term flying monkey, and I don't know if you guys make me a hand if you know what is a flying monkey, the term flying monkey. You know what it is? No? Okay, that term comes with the narcissist, the flying monkey, and it goes with the judgment, and it's very, very interesting. Remember the Wizard of Oz, the flying monkeys, and they were controlled by the witch. Well, because she was controlling them, the narcissist is controlling them, and they will attack you because those are the allies of the witch. And people that are not aware of this, they are going to be controlled by the narcissist, and they are going to attack you. And it feels terrible for the person that is receiving all the attacks from the flying monkeys. And the flying monkeys are just the allies of the narcissist. They're not even aware what they're doing. So don't when the couples are separating, you're gonna see a lot of this. They have to the friends, a lot of them, they separate, or they go with him or they go with you. And even if you don't tell them, it's, hey, you have to don't talk to my ex-husband or don't talk to my wife, they always divide. And the allies of each one are the flying monkeys, are the ones that are going to attack and judge the other person. So don't let the flying monkeys actually dictate your life because you want to be accepted by them again. If they already chose him, why you want those people in your life? Ask yourself. Because it can be very painful. They already betrayed you once. Your flying monkeys friends or family. I understand that our kids works different. Why? Because we give them birth and we're gonna love them even if they, for a while, they become the flying monkeys, and we're gonna forgive them sooner or later, even if they get us so mad. We're gonna sooner or later we're gonna forgive them because they're our kids. It doesn't matter how much harm they have done, but they might be playing the flying monkey because they are afraid of the narcissist, and they think the narcissist is going to give them more than us, so they're going to attack us and they're going to judge us. So we have to be strong enough for not only from the narcissist, from all the flying monkeys that they have, and or allies. I like the term flying monkey more than allies because it's funny. And I don't know. It makes me, when it makes me laugh, I take all the power of the allies. If something makes me laugh. So that's how I take people that are attacking me or judging me. I laugh because I see them as flying monkeys. Okay, I want to clarify that this action has, every action has consequences. Whatever choice we do is going to have consequences. So therefore, we have to be present and responsible of any of our decisions. So before you make a choice, I always will recommend you what we just did right now at the beginning of the class. Center yourself, take the big breath, and this helps also for anxiety, guys. Take a big breath, take it to your stomach, count to 7 or around there, and then 3 times, and then to your heart, and then to your head. It helps for anxiety, but it helps you to center yourself, so from there you make a choice. Because if you make a choice with emotion, because you're mad, because you're sad, you're always going to repent about that one, and you're going to carry guilt and shame. So first center yourself before you make a choice. I used to make choices, very emotional choices, and I did a bunch of wrong ones because I was not thinking before I make the choice, or something came out from my mouth that later on I was gonna repent because I say things that I shouldn't say, and I did tons of those. So center yourself first, because every act has consequences. Every choice that we do is gonna have consequences for good and for bad. But when you make it from your center, any choice, you're not going to carry guilt and shame. You can say easy, no, or yes. We always live in everything we relate. We're related by our own, by different stories. When we have something happen to us, we related that same thing immediately to a story we have from the past. That's how they get impregnated in our head, the programs. So, and it is important that you guys observe this, because this is going to help you a lot. If I say a color green, I can bet for each one of you, the color green is going to take you to a green apple, to an avocado, or to a paint, or whatever, a tree, a leaf, whatever, because each one of us is different. The color green, it doesn't is not going to bring the same memory for each person. The same applies for our emotions. If I say anger, or walking in eggshells, it's going to be very different for each one of us, because it got impregnated probably when we were kids, or it can be from our husband, or it can be from our kids, or it can be from a friend, or from someone. It's going to be very different, and that memory got imprinted in our brain. And every time you hear, that's why there's the PTSD, because something triggered you immediately. Like, remember that yesterday we were talking about the triggers? This would trigger you to remember the same story again, and you will get afraid of that. I'm going to put an example. Let's say when you were younger, your parents or someone, an authority adult, was yelling at you all the time because you don't did this or you did that, or you don't, or you were not enough or whatever, and they were yelling at you and yelling at you. When we grow older, yes, we're gonna look someone that yell at us as our parents, but every time they yell at us, it's gonna trigger us. It's gonna make us mad. It's gonna make us sad, or it's gonna make us scared. Whatever emotion that you have in the past when you were little, you're gonna bring it now as an adult. Because all our memories, we're always gonna relate it to something that we have lived in the past. So if something is triggering you, that's why the ego is important in this one. If something is triggering you, it is your ego telling you, hey, you should be mad. Oh, you should be sad. Or you should be this, or you should be that. Or a judgment. Oh, they told me that I was a prostitute because I came at home at 10 o'clock at night. You know? And that is triggering me. Well, it comes from a memory when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, that my mom told me that if I arrived later than 10 o'clock at night, I was going to be a prostitute. But if I don't let myself affect me, I can come at any time I want to my house. And I know what I'm doing. Even if I am a prostitute or not, who cares? It is my life. I really do not care if someone think I am a prostitute or not, or if I be a prostitute at the same time. It is my choice. Einstein, I like this saying of Einstein. Einstein used to say that the crazy tends to repeat the same mistake over and over, thinking they're gonna have it different the next time. You already know the results, and you already know what is triggering you over and over and over again. Why you're trying to have different results? You already know what is going to happen. Become aware of your actions and your thoughts and your emotions. Then you can change it, because you are very powerful and you can change any situation you are living in. But that it is if you believe enough in yourself. That's why I'm saying become friends of your ego. And I wanted to tell you, I have heard this many times when my clients comes like, oh, I'm broken. Because that's what they tell them, their husband. Or, you're too much. You know, oh, I'm too much. That's why I'm broken. No, you're not broken and you're not too much. You're never going to be too much for the right person. You're not going to be broken for the right person. If you're with the wrong person, yes, they're going to tell you horrible things. You're not going to survive without me. Oh, you're broken. Oh, you're too much. Oh, again, you're going to start your drama. You know, why? Because you're with the wrong person. It is your choice if you want to stay there or put boundaries so like that you can fix your relationship. Because I'm not going to say that it is impossible to fix a relationship. It is possible to fix a relationship. But both of you have to put the effort. If not, it's not going to work. And remember, you always have the choice to change it or not. In this one, I put you some exercises. That is, what are your values? Because this is important when you're making choices. What is important for you? Because what is important for me, not necessarily is going to be important for you. So write down what is your values. What do you valorate? What is important for you? Because remember, every choice that you do has consequences. So it is important to know for yourself what are your values. So like that, you at least have a ruler. Oh, I should not do this. I should not do that. Like, if I get drunk, I'm not going to drive. You know? Why? Because I don't want to put in danger others or myself. Because I'm going to be drunk driving. Put yourself, your values. What is important for you? Make a list of what do you consider important in your life. And remove from the list what others told you that it should be important in your life. because we're going to have those voices, and sometimes you're going to hear your mom telling you, oh, this is wrong, and your mom is not even there, it's already dead, or your dad is already dead and you're still hearing him, telling you, oh, this is wrong or this is right. That is the judgment of them that it got impregnated in your subconscious. And when you're hearing it, it is up to you to put attention if you want to follow whatever judgment they had, and they imprint that in your subconscious. But that voice you're going to hear, and you're going to hear even the same tone of voice. And it's not because you're channeling, it's just because you have it imprinted in your memory. And that's how you're going to hear it. That is not channeling. That is your ego playing you a game, because that's part of the games of the ego. When you this is not a class of channeling, but when I teach channeling, I make the difference what is channeling, but that is not channeling. Okay, and the other exercise that I put here, your judgments towards you and to others. Write it down. What are you judging others? And what other judgments of others have affected you? This is important because then you start seeing the programs. And when you start seeing the programs, that's when you can change them. The ego do not like to, always gonna try us to manipulate. Remember, guys, it always gonna instigate us fear. But if we become aware, we can change that. Do something for yourself that you love. Observe how you talk to yourself. How many times you get in front of the mirror and you're calling yourself names. Would you talk like that to your best friend or someone that you love? Many times we go in front of the mirror. That's why I put you the exercise of that to do. Go in front of the mirror and call yourself, I am beautiful, I am strong. Do that exercise. It would change the way you talk to yourself, and you start falling in love with you, because you are important. So be aware how you talk to yourself, and be aware, where do you feel the emotions? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your stomach? You feel it in your head? Where do you feel it? Ask yourself, when you're feeling an emotion, in what part of you you're feeling it. Watch how your body reacts to things, because then you will know if you are going to react. Sometimes we meet someone and immediately we feel that you want to react that person. It doesn't feel good, their energy. Listen to your intuition, because that can save your life if we listen to our intuition. But of course, we need to believe in ourselves. That's where the ego plays an important part to uplift us, because we can believe in ourselves. Not to the point where we become narcissists, that we are the only ones important. No, we are as important as everybody else, but we're not less than anyone. Okay, I wanted to tell you about an exercise that is very important. There are many, and it's in your notes in the top part. It says third step, because I bet many of you did not did it last night. So I wanted to talk about this. In that third step, I am putting the review your day and write it down, or at least think about it. When you go to bed at night, think, how was my day? What things I should have done different? What things I did right? What things the next time when I present this, I will react different? How do I judge myself today? How do I talk myself? And ask all these questions. Review your day, because then the next day you will remember what you would like to change, and that start making the inner shift in you. So ask yourself that exercise. It is very, very powerful when you start doing that review of your day. I put you remember morning practices, and that's the night practice. I do it all the time, and I go to bed. I'm laying down. I start reviewing my day. You can write it down if you want. I just sit down and I start thinking and reviewing my day. Not necessarily has to be written, but if you want to, journaling is very, very powerful. So I'm gonna stop the recording. Oops. I was recording.